All right. I think that we are now finally live on Facebook after some technical difficulties.
We're on fire with our technology lately and these conversations. I think like the last couple of times we've tried to do them, it's been quite a dance.
You're absolutely right. And then I'm starting to think, well, I had a slide to share. I'm like thinking, do I even want to do that tonight
I
after
would just go for it at this point. Let's just go for it.
Well, first I want to talk a little bit about, so it's been several weeks since you
Yeah.
and I have been able to get together here on Facebook Live on the Edgar Casey page. I am here with Mike Powers. My name is Kathy Lamb. I am the marketing director here at Edgar Casey's ARE. And for the last several months, probably since the beginning of COVID, the kind of shutdown, we have been doing these conscious conversations here live on Facebook with
Hmm.
a variety of topics, really just topics that every single day we all deal with. And we encourage people to engage with us and to be a part of the conversation as well. But I'm very grateful to share this time and space with Mr. Powers.
Same here, and I really appreciate it too. And it's been nice too because I have to tell you, I was out the other day and somebody asked about the conscious conversations, and they liked the fact, and so did I too, because this always helps us. The fact that the timing of the topics and everything going on in the world, and that's exactly why we started doing this. It was right at the beginning of COVID, and we've just decided that hey, if we're going to go inward, we're dragging everybody else with us. And it's been an eventful year to say the least and a really wild start to 2021, but I think we're going to be okay.
I think so too. I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, as Edgar Casey said, we're all responsible as individuals to create our reality. And that's kind of what we're talking about tonight
Hmm.
is really thoughts creating our reality. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in and try to share
Sure.
the screen, the slide. So hold on just one second. And here is a quote from Edgar Casey where he was talking about thoughts are things. So, for thoughts are things, and as the mental dwells upon these thoughts, so does it give strength, power to those things that do not appear. And thus does indeed there become that as so often given that faith is the evidence of all things not seen. So I think that what he's actually talking about is essentially that what we think we create,
Hmm.
what we put our faith in, we create.
Yeah, I heard a really great quote, and it might even be Edgar Casey. I can't recall where I got it from, but if you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought again. And it's so true because anything that we've ever been really passionate about and we've explored the depths of, I feel like as human beings and as spiritual beings, we've created our life for us. We've created all the positive things that we've ever wanted, whether it be through love or a job, career, whatever they are. So it is a really, really great quote. And I thought and again, it might be Edgar Casey, but it sounds there's no here he's in it and stuff like that. So
Yeah, sometimes that little old English is that King James version of speaking is a little challenging to understand. But Casey actually talked a lot about thoughts creating, and he said no, nothing that ever is physical on the physical plane didn't start with a thought first.
mhm.
So everything that is in the physical, in our physical realm, started with an idea or a thought. So and like you said, I think that we have to be very careful. A lot of times people ask me, well, how do I control my thoughts? And I say to them, well, how do you control your arms from flying up in the air?
Right.
Right?
Right. How do you know to stop at a crosswalk when the light is red and not cross the street? It's a little bit harder because our thoughts again are so powerful. Um, but I feel like once we can get a hold of them, they become the most empowering part of our life.
Yes. Well, the other thing too is we think that they're powerful or that they have power over us, but we actually have full control and power over them. And we have the ability to change our thoughts. Many times I've said, fake it till you make it. Start thinking happy thoughts, make yourself smile, smile into your heart, and really think about positive things. I just recently had a conversation with my 27-year-old about, some things that were going on. And I told him, I said, you've really got to change your thoughts first. All this stuff keeps happening because you're spending a lot of time thinking about all the negative things happening in your life. So the more things that you spend time thinking about, those are the things that are going to manifest.
Yeah, yeah. And I also think too, when we're not living in truth, when our thoughts are unauthentic, that could also become a very negative experience, even if we get the things that we want in our thoughts. But if they're unauthentic, they become very self-limiting. And we might get what we want just for a little while, but we're also going to get what we're not asking for. Those things don't last when we're living outside of our true nature.
Mhm. Well, the other thing that Casey said in this reading was, I mean, truly, you have to feel it, you have to embody it. And what you feel, what you don't see, will manifest in your life because you feel a certain way. So your emotions are powerful enough to create. So first you have a thought, then you have an emotion attached to that thought. The stronger the emotion, the quicker it will manifest. So if we have the ability to control what we think and how we feel about a certain situation, then we have control over creating what's in our reality.
Yeah, I also too I want to ask you, when it comes to manifesting positive things in your life and keeping your mind out of the gutter. Um, when we are in a real emotional state, like the feelings are real, the feelings of fear, the feelings of anger, things that we maybe didn't quite deal with in our lives, when these things come up and they seem to overtake the mind and then take those positive thoughts and kind of cast them aside for a little while. I mean, obviously meditation is a great answer, but what kind of meditation should we be focusing on?
Well, one of the things that I think is very important is for you to stop that spiral. So, in order to stop the spiral, you have got to return to your breath, go inward and really look at it from that perspective first.
Hmm.
Just taking a very deep breath, going inside of the body, connecting with the body fully, and then you'll have the ability to change your thoughts. And once you have the ability to stop your thoughts, then you give yourself direction, another direction to go. And as I said, when you force yourself to smile,
Yeah.
you feel you feel that happiness.
Yeah, yeah, you do. You do feel a hell of a lot better. Your energy goes up. Body language too is another great way to push away the negative thoughts. How are you carrying yourself? Are you slumped down? Are you dragging your head? How are you going through the day? How are you waking up in the morning? Are you waking up in a state of gratitude that you're actually here for another day? Or are you waking up and jumping on Facebook and ready to get into some fight about something you have zero control over? These are all things that we can control. So how we start our day, uh, the kind of values we have as well. That's a big thing when you really know yourself and you have a good set of spiritual values and beliefs. It's not always going to work, but when it does, it will most of the time. Uh, it really does make your decision making process and help the mind ease its way through the day because the decisions become automatic as opposed to, oh, let me get lost in thinking, well, what's this person going to think if I make this decision? And what's that person going to think? And the only person it really matters to is you.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Christina asked the question, Do your thoughts, I guess, aid in healing? I guess my first thought about that is, do your thoughts aid in creating disease within the body? Well, let's start there. Yeah, I mean,
You would say yes.
yes, yes. So, if we start with the root cause, it usually comes from a mental or spiritual imbalance, and that creates a physical discomfort or dis-ease in your body, which creates disease.
Hmm.
So, first, you have to say, did this disorder or disease, was it caused by my thoughts? Absolutely. And then, secondly, can my thoughts change that? Can it aid in the healing? Yes, absolutely, as well. Edgar Casey said that we have 100% control over healing our own bodies and manifesting um, healthy bodies through our thoughts.
Yeah, every one of our thoughts allows us to feel that emotion in our body. And most of the times we don't let ourselves actually feel it. What the mind does, and this is the power of your mind. It pushes the thought away, tries to bury the thought, but it never really goes anywhere. And it, like you said earlier, it'll then manifest in our everyday. So even if you're somebody that is already facing something that's debilitating mentally or physically, you're not going to make the shift until you actually take the emotion head on and be with it as it is, and then live your life through that. Have it be a vehicle for your awakening. So much of our awakenings, our little awakenings, our big ones, do come from the suffering in our lives. And I think if we don't acknowledge that, and we really we feel it as opposed to think about it, let the mind kind of aid the shift, not control it. Feel the emotion in your body, feel it in your heart space, but then the solution is, you can come up with it up here as opposed to trying to just figure it out. Why is this happening? All up here. Start here and then kind of use this to guide it along. Always put the heart space above the mind.
That's right. And the highest frequency emotion is love. So, just like our thoughts are not outside of our body, neither is our disease. Our disease is part of who we are. And if we were to really focus love attention, which is the highest vibration emotion, onto that space that does need the healing, and just focus how much we love it as part of who we are, there is healing power within that emotion and within that thought as well. And embracing it as who we are and part of us.
Yeah, and you'll project that and you'll also get it back. And if we look at the other side of it, if you're not actually being with the feeling and still living your life, the feeling isn't going anywhere. You're kind of burying it in the unconscious, and it will manifest itself in a negative way as well. Everybody you come in contact with, what you're giving them, you're going to get back. So if you're not in love, if you're not in a space of love, you are not going to get that back. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think that, oh, it's just in here, but it starts here and it goes everywhere else, and it projects to the rest of the world in your body language, like you said, in a smile, your facial expressions. So when you're walking down the street and somebody sees you and they're not going to give you the love that you want. If you walk down the street and you're smiling at everybody, odds are you're going to get it back. And if you're not getting it back, somebody's in their own head. It's happening exactly to them. So what are we projecting onto the world? What we actually feel in here, which up here takes over. And then we're in the shit, and we don't want that. Like, we want to try to keep ourselves in a positive space.
No, and like you said, I mean, really what you end up doing is you attract people who are also in that love space, who are also vibrating in that higher frequency. And then you have that around you all the time. So that actually aids in helping you manifest a better reality because you're around happy people. Have you ever been with someone who complains all the time? I mean, what does it do to your
Besides
personal?
myself, yeah, everybody.
What does it do to your personal vibration? I mean, it brings you down. You
Yeah.
start to feel tired. You don't feel well. Things don't seem to be going right in your day to day. A lot of that stuff is manifested
Mm.
where we are in our thoughts and ideals and frequency.
Yeah, the shift is really up to you. It's all up to you. No matter what your ailment, whether it be mentally or physically, you're never going to shift out of it unless you take care of it. You can only work on yourself, and through yourself, you create the space for other people to awaken. I want to share a quick story with you because, in the wake of everything going on in the world, politically, the divide in the world, it's really easy for all of us collectively to fall into a negative space, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, no matter what religions you believe in. It doesn't matter. But in the wake of everything going on, I want to share this story, and then I thought, like, yeah, everything is okay with the world. I was out in Alexandria, and we were playing some socially distant shows, my buddy Jeff and I. And there's a family that comes out, not a family, but a couple that comes out and sees us. And it was Friday night. They were out there. They were out till 9 o'clock. That's the new 2 o'clock in the morning. We know now, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And they had a great time. And then the next day, they brought their kids in who are big fans of the band, and they've brought them to see us before. So I thought to myself, okay, everything going on with the pandemic, it's kind of tough right now, right? But without that, we would not have these kids, this family, be able to come out, share this music, share this moment. It was really, really nice. And then the son, who was probably about 12 years old, has a 3D printer. He's really into all that kind of stuff. And he made this little laughing Buddha for Jeff and I, because
Oh,
we always have some kind of little spiritual something or other on the stage for people to kind of look at and go, what's up with those guys? And we always have like a little Buddha with us, and he made this for us, and would have never happened if we were playing still from 6 to 9 at night, if we were caught up in the wake of everything going on. So it's these little tiny things that can completely shift us out of the overall negative consciousness that's happening in the world. So I just wanted to share that little story. So as you go through your day, be that little laughing Buddha that was made by the kid for somebody, or really learn how to receive it. And that'll shift your mind really, really quickly. You'll go from everybody hates each other to, no, we're going to be okay.
yeah, it's just finding the little blessings that we bring to each other, in our interactions. You're absolutely right. And I hear also a lot of times that gratitude is a way of, really pulling positive and conscious thoughts into our field. And when we act in a state of gratitude, then we're going to see things that we're grateful for. The
Yeah.
universe is going to produce other things that to make us grateful. The more time we spend in gratitude, the more things will come to us that will allow us that gratitude.
Mm. And I know in the new format we're trying to do a half hour. I know we were a little bit late, but I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you, and that'll definitely help me and help all of everybody watching all over the place. So a lot of times, you're big into manifestation. You teach it to a lot of people, and when it comes to our dreams and our desires, it's very, very hard sometimes, especially when our goals are so big, and we all have them. We all have these dreams, but it's so hard sometimes because our mind pushes against them, telling us that we're not good enough. It's not necessarily, like, I know it's not necessarily my mind. It's people from the past, it's conditioning, it's socialization, it's all those things. So how to take our desires and our dreams and really make them a reality through the heart and using the mind as the assistant.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing of it is you have to think about how it would feel as if you had that thing right now. Like if you wanted I have a Mustang. I love my Mustang. For years, I wanted one. and I actually drove a rental car that was a Mustang, and I was like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. I just know I'm going to have one. And then a couple years later, I have one now. It just manifested itself. It wasn't that I went out necessarily and sought after it, it just showed up
You have
in
the
my life.
payment now, though, right?
I do have a little. That's okay. I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah, yeah, but I think you said a great thing to me in the past about money and money being energy, because in the spiritual life, so many of us push away things, cars and money, and it's almost seen in the spiritual world as a negative. But if you shift it and look at it as an energy, I use another word for it. It's kind of like a freedom to do what you want to. If whatever it is you want to be, there are some things that you have to do in order to get there, in order to make the money to do that. So it's like, what's the mindset around it? What is your energy? What is your intention behind making the money? And oftentimes in any success that I've ever had in life, you don't even think about the money. You think about the passion and the desire and your love for whatever it is that you're doing. And when it's real, and and when it's a part of your true self and your true nature, when it's like the soul at work, the money just comes, and you can use it or not use it, take it or not take it, do what you want with it. But money, that's such a great thing. And I definitely wanted to get to that. And I'm glad we did, because that's something a lot of us in the spiritual world need to work on. It's like,
Right. And then the other belief system is that we can't, be abundant as well as spiritual, that we have to have lack to be spiritual. And this is not the case at all, because, really it is about the energy, as you said, that we create. So if we create positive, wonderful, beautiful energy, the universe is going to support us with that. And money is only a tool, and it
yeah,
is only energy. And so it is an energy that supports another part of our energy. I know that you
yeah,
had made comment about, gifting someone with something and the joy that it brought to them, the immense joy. And it was like, okay, the money didn't even really matter. It was the
no,
energy that was created from it,
this
is what
little
mattered to
thing,
me.
this is amazing. I know so many people, I don't even want to tell you what they would do with a 3D printer. This is beautiful. What a great gift. And it's just about being thoughtful in your actions. And I'm glad we got to that, because I wrote it down and I was like, I gotta have Kathy talk about this a little bit. And I know we're coming towards the end. There's one more thing, and I want to throw it at you, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Um, the mind very much lives in the past. It lives in the person we were 5 minutes ago, the person we were yesterday, and the person we were 10 and 20 years ago. And it never seems to stay with the good parts of yourself. It always seems to go to the negative. And I think it's so important for us to talk about our past and not being the person we were yesterday, in order to move forward and be present in this moment and grow, not just spiritually, but in this human incarnation.
Yeah, and using those experiences as stepping stones to move you forward. And also not being afraid to be successful or wonderful or bright,
Mm.
to be the brightest light shining out there. Sometimes we have a fear of what that might bring. We
Yeah.
have fear of the attention or the ridicule. Maybe we've felt that in the past. Maybe we've felt ridicule or criticism in the past, or felt unworthy of having certain things. Those are fears that keep us in a place. And those are things that we do need to get rid of and
Yeah.
change those fearful thoughts. When we end up going down the path of fear, stopping and saying, this is not my reality today. I may
Mm.
have had experiences in the past that were like that, but that's not what my future is going to be.
Yeah. This is just the story behind this thought. And the story oftentimes behind the thought has been concocted into something so ridiculous by the mind that it's not even reality anymore. And I would say when it comes to your past, that don't let what happened in the past control your today. And another big thing, the other side of that is don't let something that isn't even real yet in the future control what you are and who you are today. You're not even there yet, and you're not that anymore. Just
Right.
be here.
You remember the old game telephone?
Of
So
course.
I do a hypnosis where it's a manifestation hypnosis that I take people through. And it really shows them how our thoughts create our history, our minds, our thoughts of who we were or who we are. And, they're not even accurate because if you have a room full of 20 people and you say one thing and it's passed from one to another to another to another with different emotions, different experiences, different ages, different timelines. Think about how all of your memories have to be skewed based on when they
Yeah.
happened, what emotion was associated with it, what your mental state was at that time, your age, the experience or going on around you.
Yes.
All of that stuff has an effect on your thoughts, and it actually twists them and morphs them into something else other than what they originally were. And so we do
Ah,
have to be
that's so good.
careful to follow those paths of negative thoughts that were once created within us.
That's such a good teaching. That is so good. Yeah, because everybody has a storyteller in the family. Everybody knows a storyteller. You might be the storyteller in your family, and as time goes on, first of all, you make the story more exciting and ridiculous than it even needed to be. And then as time goes on, the mind also skews the story. There was a time that I was drinking in a bar with my uncle Michael and my two cousins, and we fell off the top of this like crow's nest in a DJ booth. And I swear to God, as every year goes by, we get higher and higher and higher and higher when that story comes up. And that's just a funny example of how the mind works. You're already going to embellish it. And on top of that, your mind is going to just, like you said, we were 20 something, we were 30 something. Our consciousness was in a different place. Maybe we weren't quite in as enlightened as we all are now. So all of these things, they just keep churning and churning and churning. And next thing you know, you have a really fantastic fiction book.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is your that is your life.
That's right. I have four boys, as you know, or four
Mm-hmm.
men in my household.
They're
They're all
men now.
fishermen. They're all fishermen, and they always lose the fish. And, it starts out this big,
That's
and by the
good.
end of the night, that fish is a whale that they lost,
Gosh,
the biggest bass in the river. So, yeah, I know those
such a
stories.
good example. Gosh.
How we do that with our mind, and we blow things out of proportion,
Yeah.
with everything. And even with our feelings, we may feel like, okay, well, this one little thing that was said to us, the way that it was said, we take it to heart through a trigger, we expand on it, we keep allowing our thoughts to cycle over and over with it, and then it becomes something that it was never meant to be.
Yeah.
And oftentimes negative things that pull us in a direction where we don't want to go. So we
Yeah.
just have to be very mindful.
Absolutely. And yeah, take that time, as I'm sure a lot of our audience tonight already does. Take the time in the morning, in the afternoon, or whenever you can, just to be silent. Find time for your practice. And I think now more so than ever, share it with people, not in a preachy way. You can never make anybody shift into a spiritual life unless they want to. That'll happen for them automatically. But you can definitely plant some seeds to send them down the right path. And also too, before we wrap up, I'm gonna put some homework out there for everybody, and maybe we can talk about it too on our next conversation. And I don't know what the topic's going to be, but um, maybe everybody go home tonight, and if you journal, or if you just have a meditation practice and you're quiet, take some time to think about this, because a lot of people haven't. Ask yourself, what is it that you really want. And we're not talking about money and things of that nature. I'm just talking about how would you like to see your life as it is right now. What do you really want? Do you need more love? Do you need more peace and quiet? Do you want to travel more? Just don't limit yourself. That's the mind. The mind is always trying to keep us in a small sense of self, always trying to limit us, and we are unlimited. We're everything. Everybody always everybody always is so hard on themselves when at the end of the day you're it. this you are it. You're all of it. You're the universe. So you tell me what you can't do is
Yeah.
nothing. So I really ask yourself and write it down. And then maybe even next time we can put together like a real plan for people. Cause I know that's something that you do. You see yourself in the future as that future self, all while being present with everything that is, because we can't get there unless we're present for ourselves and one another.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that's a wonderful exercise. I just spent this last weekend with several women that are we're spiritual little clique of women, and we ended the weekend with vision boards. And that exercise of going through magazines and truly looking at what do I want to see manifested in my life is was a tremendous. It took us a lot longer than anticipated, but it was wonderful to actually go through and to look at that and say, okay, what is it that I want this next year to feel like, to look like, to embody? So yes, thank you, Mike. That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. It'll be fun. And when you do that, every decision you make, it's like I was talking about earlier with the values, every decision you make becomes easy because it has to align with your vision, what you'd like to see yourself doing or what you'd like to manifest.
Yeah. So well, I so appreciate you. So we are trying to keep these to about 30 minutes now. And the reason being is because we'd like to come here more often and
Yeah.
have these conversations. So we're going to start doing this every couple weeks, about 30 minutes. If you have any questions or comments or thoughts, put them on the feed and we will
Yeah.
answer them. We always come back and talk and engage. So
Absolutely.
give us ideas of other things that you want to hear us talk about. We're excited to be back here again.
Yeah, this was great. It feels so good. It's been too long. And again, I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday and a happy new year. And remember, we're all gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
And we're going to create it that way.
Absolutely. It's up to us. All right. Peace and love. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.